Welcome back, folks, to the Lighthead online video show. On today's show, we are talking about canopy lighting, outdoor canopy lighting. This episode of the show and every episode of the Lighthead online video show so far has been brought to you by Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com. Greg, KeystoneTech.com.
Let's do it. And you questioned it when you said canopy lighting. What we're talking about with exterior lighting is canopy. So canopy can range. I understand where your questioning comes from, because a canopy can be over out in the open over like a gas tank. It could be over a front entrance, like an awning almost. That's still considered a canopy.
So you're talking about a roof with no walls, or like three-quarters of a wall, right? So they have one quarter of the wall next to which is the building, and then three-quarters no wall, or like no wall at all with pillars holding up. That's a canopy?
That's a canopy to me. If everybody agrees with it, we're going to call it a canopy.
Well, so the great professor, Greg Ehrich, says that's what it is, so that's what it is.
All right. So canopy lighting, what do you need to look at if some customer calls you and says, hey, I have these lights outside on a canopy and I want to replace them to LED? What are the things you need to factor in? I think, first of all, when I think canopy, I need to know how it's mounted. Typically, when it's a canopy, it's either recessed or it's surface mounted.
Yep.
That can matter in your solution.
Sure.
So you want to note that. It can be round and it can be square, so you need to know the shape and the size. And all of that matters, obviously, because a lot of times you need to fit the profile of what's existing there. Going back to your wall scars, which you talked about on wall packs, what do you call a canopy that doesn't cover the existing canopy fixture?
That would be a ceiling scar.
A ceiling scar. See, there's another term.
Yeah, that would be a ceiling scar.
Have you seen any ceiling scars?
Oh, I've seen some pretty. So let's take gas stations and put them over here. We'll talk about gas stations in a minute. Is that cool? Okay.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah, because gas stations are their own animal. And then there's like so some of the weirdest lighting or things I've seen in canopies, dude. Some of the weirdest stuff. Yeah, especially in like old apartment buildings where they have this like long canopy maybe that's like got a peaked roof and there's like pillars on the side and you walk up and there's these weird surface mounted low pressure sodium lights or something like that on it from the 60s or something, and you get into some weird stuff. A lot of times what I've been able to do on those canopies is I've been able to reduce the number of lights. I don't know if you do that much.
I haven't, not a lot on canopies, but I could see where you're coming from on that. A lot of times that I've seen is locations where they're spaced the right distance. So I just replace them one for one. But you're saying that it's just overlit.
Yeah, like what you'll have is you'll have some, and this is mostly in, like I've done a lot of multi-residential, old apartment buildings in my career, lots. And I found that under those canopies around the building or in front of entrances and all that, the old ones will have like an acrylic sort of just a E26 socket with an acrylic lens on it. And they'll have 10 of those in a circle. Or they'll have, one every 3 feet or something like that. And inside it's a 40-watt light bulb or a CFL, like a 13-watt CFL.
You're talking recessed. It's recessed in the canopy?
No, I'm talking surface mount. Surface mount, too.
Surface. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And also recessed. And we'll cap the recessed box. And then we'll we'll put a surface on the recess sometimes, which gives you more vertical foot candles, stuff like that. You got to look at that canopy and use your lighting savvy and get after it, because canopies are a great place. If you're into incentives and they pay you by the kilowatt or they pay you by the kilowatt hour, sometimes you can eliminate like 80% of a canopy lighting lights and just put in like.
Is canopy lighting the most savvy you can get in lighting applications? Are you stating that right now?
No. But
okay,
you can get savvy in a lot of places. Yeah. Like, the best, and you had talked about it on the other show with outdoor lighting codes and requirements. A lot of times you can get into like customer need between like a lease of a building or something like that, and a lot of the outdoor lighting has specifics with that you can use to help your client get a better deal or get some more money from the landlord. So lighting savvy is everywhere, bro. I think it's savvy in general, and then you apply it to your lighting knowledge, right? I think I got a good dose of savvy. I started a lighting podcast out of the blue. I was pretty
there you go.
savvy.
Now, when I think canopies too, it kind of is a different exterior fixture for me. My general recommendation when you're doing exterior is to replace the fixture, but with canopies, that's not always the case.
Yeah, you know what? A nice insert can go well on a
Yeah,
on an
inserts,
outdoor. Yeah.
even when you concentrate on a corn cob, you can do something like that too.
We concentrate on corn light around here. Yeah, you know why? Because you know what? Sometimes too, you have an open bottom fixture. You don't have that heat trap in there. When
Yeah,
you close that corn cob up, they say the heat is this, but it's always like you're trapping that heat in there. And on the canopy, sometimes it's just open and you're good to go.
yeah. So other things you need to factor in when you're looking at canopies, again, as within the exterior, is how it's controlled. Is it photocelled? Is it switched? And I'm guessing in some of your applications, it's switched. It's an actual physical switch inside the building.
Yep, for
And do
sure.
they want it to be that? Should it be a light that's always on at night? And if it's lighting up a door, it probably should be. But a lot of times I've seen them that it's just an on-off switch. So you can easily photocell that. That might make
Yeah.
sense too, because it's all about securing the area and lighting up the walkways and the entrances and exits.
Yeah, sometimes,
So,
it's interesting. That's where it comes down to when you're talking to your reps and sales guys and stuff. You want to say to them, look, listen to the customer, because you're not going to be there when it's dark, likely. And so where do they want more lights? Is there an area that's dark at night and that you wouldn't suspect or just notice? Oh yeah, there's this area over here where teenagers congregate and they smoke and whatever, and we want to put a light there. Sometimes that'll win you the deal, especially when it's under a canopy.
That's right. So that's
bring it back
our
to canopies here.
Yeah, that's our awning canopy discussion. Going back to your gas station, that is a different deal, and I've done a number of them. There are companies that only did gas station retrofits, at least in our market. And they actually worked
for sure.
indirectly for the gas station or something odd, like big chains. They had their own reps that bought directly from lighting manufacturers. I never got to the bottom of it. I didn't waste my time on it.
Yeah,
but
most
I know
of them
that
paid a heavy
on.
price for that, eh?
Yes. So that's why gas stations were or have been a tough market, but it was highly incentivized here. Great payback. So just about every gas station you see in Minnesota now has LED lighting. Is it the same in Toronto?
Well, we don't have as many regional gas companies. So most of them are majors, Esso, Shell, Petro-Canada, right? So most of the gas stations you're going to find fall into the major category. It's hard. I find it hard to penetrate those national accounts, and I kind of leave that. There's a couple sort of regional guys that have gas stations and that we've done a few little things here and there, but I found that I kind of missed it, and I'm kind of glad I missed a lot of that. It was a lot of 2013, 14 stuff, if I remember correctly. I don't know about you, maybe 15?
Yeah. It was one of the first initial big applications that converted to LED. And there's a lot of issues now because of it. I don't know if you're seeing that too, but
for sure.
Underlit, ceiling scars, I've seen a lot of those. Because when you actually get into a gas canopy, when you get into that, there's a lot of mounting that can go into it. Do you have to punch it up and through the top of the canopy? Can you punch up and through without causing leaking in the seal or in the canopy? There's a lot of things.
And those are the flat roof issues. Is there water getting in the top canopy that causes problems? We bid a job for a privately owned gas station. He went with another guy, and I remember seeing the guy holding a piece of wood against the fixture. I went by right near my house. I think you went to that gas station with me when you came up to visit me. And I showed it to you. You saw it. And the guy was installing it, and he had like a 2x6 over top of the fixture, and he was hitting the fixture.
Pounding it in.
Yeah, pounding that sucker in there.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta love
it's
it.
just like, oh, God, what are you doing, dude?
But if you do have an application where you are running into a gas station, note how it's mounted. Note if it's recessed, if it's surface mount. Note the size. Obviously, you need to know the wattage and the current lamp and all that quantity, all the normal stuff you need to know.
What
but
about
the key
sensors?
is just to make
Would
sure
you use aux sensors in a? I've seen a lot of gas stations rocking a bi-level aux sensor on the fixtures.
I don't know if I like that, because the key of a gas station canopy is to draw attention to your store to get people there.
Yeah.
If you have an underlit canopy, then people are going to look at it and either question whether it's open or question whether it's safe or not be attracted to it. If you want somebody to pull in and get gas, you want to keep it bright. To me, I'm not going to censor a gas canopy.
Yeah, and again, like, what are the actual savings from that sensor, and then what is so whenever you use sensors, a lot of people bank the savings without looking at the maintenance. I think that there's a cost to LED when it comes to switching. Like how often you switch it, I think is going to determine the life of a driver too. And I think it's like an instant start ballast where you got to be careful how many switches in 24 hours you have. And the gas stations I was at, they were on like 30-second time delays where they're going high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. I could see them flicking on and off in this one.
Flicker. Maybe, that's flicker right there.
I mean, maybe a minute or something like that. And they even had this one gas station, they even had sensors on the poles, right? And I walked up to it and it's like, bink, the light comes on. I go to the store and I'm like, okay, I'll come out of the store 2 minutes later, whatever, grab the coffee or whatever, come up, bink, the light comes on again. It's not on, but like the full. And I thought to myself, man, that doesn't seem like a good idea to me. I don't know how that driver behaves, but just knowing that frequency of switching is always a problem, even with program rapid start, even with instant start, all those technologies in the past, you had to watch the number of switches in 24 hours or you're going to get lamp failures. I don't care if you got, whatever it is. So I remember that. So you're not a big fan of that? I just go no sensor, no aux sensor.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't know if I'm a fan of outdoor lighting as a whole with sensors. I know there can be a sale for it, but to me, it's about security and being and feeling safe, and then also about attracting attention for some businesses. So why dim the outdoor lights when you shouldn't? Keep it safe.
And what are you dimming? You're going from 60 watt to 30 watt or something like that. Like you're not saving.
And you had 400 before, or you had 250 before.
I mean, you
already had your savings.
You're slicing it thin there, big dog.
Yeah.
So get those sensors out of those canopies on the Lighthead online video show with Dr. Greg Ehrich, the lighting professor.
and Michael Colligan, the what? Sir Michael Colligan.
The savvy badass. Thanks for listening, folks.
There you go.
Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONETECH.com, folks. Love you. Thanks for listening.